This is Giving Purpose Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Giving Purpose Podcast, where we highlight San Francisco Bay Area nonprofits and the work that they do to better our communities. This is your host, Ana Pimentel-Calero, along with co-host Joe Neto, and we are very excited to have you listening in. Let's introduce our guest. David Schrom has co-founded Magic in 1972. He has won national and international recognition for guiding projects in health education, community development, dispute resolution, urban planning, natural resource management, and value science teaching. Since Magic's inception, he has been a central figure in evolving its value science foundation, its strategy of integrated research, teaching, and demonstration, and its projects interweaving themes of personal health, cooperation, and environmental stewardship. So that was a lot of information. But with all of that information, David, why do you do the work that you do?
I can answer that in so many different ways. I think my most personal motivation comes from childhood, when my parents, who recognized that I was very able as a young person, began telling me that my privileges were something to be shared rather than something to be hoarded for personal benefit. And even though I was brought up with very traditional aspirations, go into business, make a bunch of money, give some substantial portion of it away, maybe go into politics, attempt to have positive influence on the society as a whole, I always had in the back of my mind this notion of service. And my dad was a great example of that. He not only tithed to our church, but he also tithed to the local United Way. And he was constantly going out of his way for the people who were his coworkers and employees and neighbors and fellow churchgoers and everyone else with whom I observed him interacting. So there's that long sense of, hey, you benefited from tremendous good luck. Now use it for everybody's benefit. But the reason I do the specific work I do, as well as I can explain it, is that I asked 3 questions about the possibilities in front of me when I was fairly young. And by that, I mean when I was still in my 20s. And the first one was, what do I want done in the world? The second one was, what are other people doing less well than I think I can do it, or completely ignoring? And the third one was, the second one actually was, what am I capable of doing? The third one was, what are they doing less well or completely ignoring? And at the intersection of my responses to those 3 questions was this idea of somehow taking the personal, the social, and the environmental and combining them with both theory and practice, so that I was a thinker, beer, doer, who positively influenced things in all those realms. And the framework that I had stumbled upon in my early 20s for doing these things was the discipline of ecology. So I found ecology to be a basis for improving our health, for creating a fairer and more peaceful society, and for taking care of the earth so that we and those who may follow us might benefit in the future.
Can you just give me a little bit more on value science? I'm trying to, what that term encompasses.
What I'm wanting to emphasize here is that this thing called science is something we universally practice. It's universally available to us, and all of us can claim it as part of our birthright and part of our identity. And what we can do if we think about it, is we can use it to make better predictions about what we want and how to get it. And that what we want and how to get it, I referred to earlier as our preferences, and I spoke about strength of preference. And when we talk about value, the root of that word is val, and it means to be strong in Latin. And it's like valence in chemistry, the attraction of an atom for its electrons, or valor in knighthood, right? To be strong. And so value means strength of preference. And our values are what we want, the means and the ends of our lives, the ends being the what we want and the means, how do we get. So we can all use science. We can all science to know value better. And that's the gist of value science.
How are you, how are people driven to find you, or how they find you, and what kind of things are you doing to put magic to the test, I guess?
You say, are we doing? So I'll speak about the present. We do have a 50-year history.
Yeah.
And if you looked at the website, you saw that in that time, we've knocked a few balls out of the park in realms ranging from health education to peacemaking to environmental stewardship. And we continue in all those kinds of things. We're very much opportunists. And by that, I mean, we stumble into opportunities just the way you and I met, and we take advantage of what drops before us. We're very local. We travel almost exclusively by bicycle. I get in a car less than a dozen times a year, or any kind of motorized transport, and more often closer to 2 or 3. I look for what's immediately around and seize the opportunities to serve. We imbue everything we do with this kind of thing. We are bringing our neighborhood together. We founded the Neighborhood Association, and for 40 years, we've sponsored a neighborhood block party in the spring and a neighborhood picnic in the park in the fall. The group that provided music at Hidden Villa for the volunteer recognition event is part of Magic, and it's Music for Good. They provide music at the neighborhood picnic. They provide music at the community services agency donor dinner. So it's little stuff. We have resisted the many inducements we've had to grow magic. And some professional artist drew up this logo with a globe laid flat, Magic International. But we really want to keep it personal. And in fact, even with support, we're reluctant to take what we call disembodied dollars. If you have yet to eat at our table or learn with us in a seminar or a classroom or a swimming pool or out in nature, then we want to just wait until you know us better before we invite you to contribute your money to us. So now among the projects we're doing, we take high school kids out and help them learn about biodiversity by collecting insects and spiders, arthropods, for DNA barcoding in order to create an encyclopedia of life. There's a Barcode of Life database, open source, global. Magic has contributed a substantial amount to it, even though we're this teeny little group in Palo Alto, and there are major institutions like UC Berkeley working at it. We're aiming to build a community of love based in science. And if you interact with us, I hope you feel that with me tonight. And what I want to add in my parting shots is both a thank you to you guys for what you're doing for us at Magic personally by giving us this platform, but also for what you're doing for other small Bay Area public service organizations. Because you asked me in an email before this meeting what I thought the major issue was for public service organizations today, or some of them. And the thing that's just most glaring to me is that they're all these human beings. You can find, just ask a random person on the street, who have good ideas about how to give back to the community, how to give more to the community, how to assist the people around them in living and dying well. And there's so little resource devoted to that. And I keep thinking of my dad's double tithe. And we were people who gave, we ate meals without meat back in the 50s because that was stretching the budget. But he double tithed from day one. And when I think about if just people tithed, last year, the total charitable giving in the United States was about $1,000 per capita. And if you look at that as a fraction of GDP, it was 1.25%. If you look at it as a fraction of per capita income to the household, it was about 2.5%. So if we tithe, we're going to up the available resource for service by a factor of 4 to 8. And when I think about bringing back that much gift into the social sphere, and I think about that as a path towards a day when the giving part of our society vastly outweighs the commercial exchange part, and those things, commercial exchange is reserved only for those transactions where giving proves impossibly impracticable. I love it. So thank you.
Thank you. And if you can tell our listeners how they can find Magic, website, email, what's the best way to...
Straight through the website, ecomagic.org, ECOMAGIC.org.
Perfect. Well, thank you. We appreciate your time. Thank you, David, for joining us. Another great episode of Giving Purpose Podcast.
Thank you for listening to Giving Purpose Podcast. For more information, you could visit our website at givingpurposepodcast.com.